K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hungover from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of... Stacey, you there?
Yes?
You want to know something? I love that song, I love this show, and I love our audience, but it's not exactly easy this morning, is it?
No, sir.
I'm tired. Make it a double in that coffee and wake the hell up, kids. Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to make mine a triple. That's right, everybody. Good morning. Sunday, June 21st, 2015. Happy Father's Day. It's JD and Stacey for Bloody Marys and Broadsheets. That's right, fathers. Happy Father's Day. Kickstart that heart. Wake up, wake up, wake up. JD and Stacey here on K98 Talk with Bloody Marys and Broadsheets, baby. Your cure for that weekly mainstream media hangover. Everybody right now, get over to that K98Talk.com. Get in the chat room. Say hello to Stacey. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. A very happy, special Father's Day to my father. I know you're listening, Dad. And to all my baby mamas and all my illegitimate children everywhere. Yeah, Dad's going to be coming. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, you know how I ended up with all those illegitimate children, didn't you?
I'm not sure I want to.
It starts like this all the time.
Giggity, 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 let's have sex.
That didn't take long, did it?
No, it really didn't. You just had to play that, Beaker. That was for you.
Good morning, Miss Stacey. How are we today on Sunday morning on K98 Talk?
We are fabulous this morning on K98 Talk, and a very special and happy Father's Day to my father as well, along with my brother, who he's visiting for his promotion ceremony. So, love and miss you both.
Absolutely, and for the next hour for Father's Day, we're going to be talking a little Brian Williams in the Shell Game. Where they're going to shuffle this lion moron. The rest of the media is nonsense. Presidential leadership, or lack thereof. Pope done lost his mind. Pope talking climate change and social justice. Focus on that sinning, baby. Marco Rubio on that phone book, handling it right with the heckling. Nana making up with old boo-boo and whatever else I didn't prepare for, correct?
Exactly.
It's been a very busy 2 weeks here at Central Nassau Studios. Oh, man, but it's Sunday, so as always, it's time for your weekend update from that Eric Williams at that barbwiresatire.com, baby. That's right. This is your weekend update for the week ending June 21st, 2015, brought to you by that Eric Williams of the barbwiresatire.com. Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook was a guest on CNN last week and said there are no polls that show the American people don't trust Hillary. Mook then said he'd fight anybody who says otherwise, stomped his foot, ran out of the studio, and jumped on his unicorn before he angrily flew away.
Rachel Dolezal stepped down as president of the Spokane NAACP chapter due to all the controversy about her ethnic heritage. No word yet on her future, but La Raza did announce that a Rochelle Dolezal
You didn't practice,
no idea,
did you?
for a position with their organization. And CARE said someone named Rahal Dolzada inquired about heading up a chapter for their Islamic group.
David Axelrod and others pointed out this week that Hillary Clinton was in favor of the trade bill she now says she opposes, with some news reports stating that she spoke out in support of the bill up to 45 times after Axelrod said she was for PP back in 2012. Hillary responded, yeah, well, I wasn't pandering for votes in 2012, was I? Duh.
Showing how much she cares about America's children, Hillary Clinton charged a Boys and Girls Club charity $200,000 for a speech she gave last year, and her foundation pocketed every bit of it. While there, Hillary reinforced to the children how much she cares about them by reading a children's book to the youngster called If Elected, I'll Be Mortgaging Your Future Away.
As a little look into our first segment, disgraced newsman Brian Williams appeared to be staying at NBC but won't be in the anchor chair anymore. As if the habitual liar hasn't suffered enough, rumors are that Williams will be exiled to MSNBC, likely to never be heard from or seen again unless he's slow jamming breaking news. JD's favorite newsman, Lester Holt, a.k.a. Stedman Baby, will take over NBC's anchor job permanently.
As polls continue to show that most Americans find Hillary Clinton untrustworthy, her handlers think she can overcome that perception by being a caring politician. So she cares about you, but you can't trust that she actually cares about you. Sounds like a winning plan to us.
And that is your weekend news update for the weekend of June 21st, 2015. As always, we want to thank that Eric Williams of that barbedwiresatire.com, baby, for that weekend update. Man, he writes
I got
a
the
lot.
tongue twisters again.
Oh, yeah, you got the... For those of you who are enjoying this unprepared for nonsensical last 6 minutes, you can find Stacey and I every Sunday morning, 11 a.m. on K98 Talk for Bloody Marys and Broadsheets. You can also find us live every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. for Game On, where nobody is safe, nobody is spared. 9 p.m. again Thursday night Eastern, we are live for another edition of Game On. And as always, you got K98Talk.com open right now in the chat room. You open that other tab, baby. You get over to that Spreaker.com. You hashtag K98 Talk. JD made it real simple for you. It's just JD and Stacey, JD and Stacey, JD and Stacey, JD and Stacey. If it says that, then please go ahead and yes.
Download it. Yeah.
Okay, terrific.
All right, good.
All right, good. So,
Tell me
my
what
my
I don't
pet
know
peeve
what
of the
we're talking
week.
about. What was your pick of the week?
I said my pet peeve of the week.
Is
The politicization of Charleston.
yes.
It's driving me insane.
What did you
First-
think? What did you think was going to happen?
Well, you know it's going to happen, but the continued propensity for those of us on the right to either sit there and defend that, no, this isn't us, da-da-da-da-da. I think the simplest way to handle it is it was tragic, it was awful, it was horrific, done.
You have
I
to
mean,
you have to understand something. You know who Mark Thiessen writes for the Washington Post. He was one of W's speechwriters. He's on Fox a lot. He was speaking. Now this was before the shooting last week. He was speaking about the Republicans having to speak about race and racial issues in the 2016 election. When he got to the point in his segment where he was talking about how the Republicans have to talk about race, he literally lowered his voice. Everybody in the Republican Party is petrified to touch anything that has to do with race. And it's going to kill them because they're going to seem the same way that the media has wanted to paint them. They seem absolutely confused about how to talk about issues that concern the black community to me.
Well, I mean, I think one person who's at least trying is Dr. Rand Paul. You know, when he does, he gets accused of pandering and being Al Sharpton's best friend. You really got to get over that, too, because we can all identify similar problems and offer similar or dissimilar solutions. So I don't think Rand Paul is carrying the progressive moronic flag at all. He is offering different kinds of solutions. But, you know, when Charleston happened, Jeb Bush was scheduled to go there the next day. He canceled. So, you know, GOP folks and folks on the right are missing the opportunity to be there, support the community, mourn with them, and have conversations, and let idiots like DeRay and Al Sharpton fly in, and you wonder why they control the narrative.
the chocolate Jesus and the race baiters. But this goes back to the same thing that we had in this segment. I mean, this show touches on the news and, kind of the nonsensical nonsense that goes on within the mainstream media. But think about something for a second. You have Brian Williams, who was a marquee property at NBC News. He couldn't seem to stop telling everybody that he was Indiana Jones. But you have this marquee property. He was making between $10 and $15 million. He was the brand over at NBC. So it turns out that he wanted to be both Walter Cronkite and Jay Leno. But you can't. Because if you're Jay Leno, you can't be Walter Cronkite. And you now have them looking to shift him over to MSNBC or find something to do with him where he's not going to make the $10 million. But think about this here. You spoke about the media and the politicization. The media was TMZ'd a long time ago. Completely TMZ'd a long time ago. So none of this is going to change. I mean, NBC's lost 2 million viewers since they've gotten rid of Brian Williams. So they're in a box. Do you bring back the liar? Or do you move the liar someplace else to lie to less people? I mean, think about that. That is the media's whole take on this. We don't care if you lie. Just lie to less people so we don't get called out for it.
Well, but I mean, at the same time, did NBC lose 2 million viewers because Brian Williams was the draw? Or did they lose 2 million viewers because they employed a liar for decades?
You know something? You brought this great point up the other day, and I said, wow, what a great point. And I forgot it, but now that I hear it, what a great point again.
But I mean, the idea that they're placing this man over on MSNBC kind of means he can be Jay Leno and Walter Cronkite because that is infotainment news.
They're not. Listen, nobody gets placed over on MSNBC. You get sent
they get
there
exiled.
to die. You get okay. So let's go through the hierarchy of how bad you suck if you're at MSNBC. So you had Ed Schultz. For anybody who doesn't know, I mean, top 5 most despicable human beings on the planet. Schultz had this hour-long show that they took away from him because I think Sharpton's show had less ratings. But you got to understand something. Sharpton's black, and this is MSNBC, so all of us have to, okay. You get relegated there to die. And then they took Ed Schultz from a 5-day-a-week show to like a 2-hour show buried at like 4:30 in the morning on Al Jazeera. It is absolutely choice what's going on over there. Absolutely choice. I couldn't I couldn't have more fun with that if I wanted to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't agree with the things she says, but Rachel Maddow's not stupid. She's just unapologetically progressive in MSNBC.
I'm sorry, you said Chris Hayes wrong.
Well, it's kind of hard to tell them apart sometimes, but they're the two whose leg didn't tingle when they heard Obama's speech.
You keep referring to them as two. Will you stop? Let me tell you something. They're two people just like Bruce Jenner and what the hell is she called now?
Caitlyn.
Yes, Bruce Jenner and Caitlyn are two people just like Rachel Maddow and Chris Hayes are two people. Not so much, lady.
Well, I mean, Chris Hayes was standing in Ferguson and Rachel Maddow was in the studio, so maybe I'm just not that big of a conspiracy theorist.
Dude, what they can do with technology these days, come on.
No, but I mean, but then you bookend somebody who is smart while unapologetically progressive with people like Melissa Harris Perry, who puts tampons in her ears.
Do what now?
I mean, she wore tampon earrings.
Of course she did.
Of course she did. She says, my children don't belong to me. They belong to the collective. I mean, when you listen to Melissa Harris Perry and think, oh, my God, someone gave this whack job a TV show? Serious.
Of course they did.
And then you've got the complete morons over at CNN. They keep putting Sally Cohn on the air.
Oh, we have audio of Sally Cohn over on CNN. Where is it?
Vaginas.
Yeah, pretty much. I think her voice is deeper, though.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, again, back to this whole thing in Charleston, South Carolina. Read that woman's timeline. Like, I can't even imagine what it's like to wake up in the morning and hate yourself that much. I am so sick of every time something like this happens. And, I mean, this was actually best I guess, displayed or called out by two Salon headlines that have gone at different times. Basically, one says, whites must universally condemn and apologize for this hooplehead up in Charleston, right? Mm-hmm. The other headline said, Muslims generally do not need to apologize for the Sanaroff brothers, the ones that did the Boston bombing. I mean, the double standard and the way that they paint both conservatives and, Caucasian people in general has just gotten to be so big a piece of narrative. I mean, if you could find me one highly visible, well-placed pundit or politician who was not abhorred and shocked and just furious over what happened in Charleston, I'd love to see who it is.
No, of course, everybody was. I mean, that Nikki Haley was just. I mean, Nikki Haley's words where she was breaking up when she was doing the when she was talking about. Let me see if we still. Here it is. This is, and for everything that you've seen on Charleston, somebody tell me why this isn't looped. If this was a progressive governor of a blue state, you'd still be seeing this run 24/7.
We woke up today and the heart and soul of South Carolina was broken. And so we have some grieving too. And we've got some pain we have to go through. Parents are having to explain to their kids how they can go to church and feel safe. And that's not something we ever thought we'd deal with. Having said that, we are a strong and faithful state. We love our state, we love our country, and most importantly, we love each other. And I will tell you, there's a lot of prayer in this state. And so you are going to see all of us try and lift these 9 families up in prayer because they need us. These 9 families need us. The Emmanuel AME Church needs us. The AME Church family needs us. And the people of South Carolina need us to come together and be strong for what has happened.
Now, everybody out in the audience can hear that cut. You cannot feign that kind of emotion, okay? Probably the only person that could fake something like that would have the last name of Clinton. Now, if you want to take something else anecdotally, I want to go back to the point that Stacey was talking about the media and how they're portraying this and the fact that all white people right now must get down on their knees and just ask for forgiveness for the sin of slavery. Let me everybody out there listen to me, okay? As a great country where people can become citizens by immigrating here legally, nobody on either side of my family was here before slavery. They all came afterwards, okay? So JD's not getting down on his knees. I'm not going to say that we don't have a complicated past that we have to deal with here, but you want to know something? Back to Stacey's point, I am sick and damn tired of the narrative, okay? Stacey knows what I do for a living off the air. Do you know the day after that shooting, there was somebody I do a lot of business with down in that direct area, and they are the top 1/10 of the 1%, okay? So for liberals who really hate 1%ers, you'd absolutely hate these people. I reached out and I said, holy cow, this is crazy. I wanted to see how close by the by that was to where you live. And the answer came back to me. Now, keep in mind, folks, these are uber wealthy white people. The answer came back to me is it's 15 minutes away. My wife's been crying. She's been cooking all morning, and we're going over to the church to see what we can do. Where's that story? Where's that story? And I guarantee you, I just happened to make that phone call. You're telling me that's the only person down there that it happened to? No damn way. It is time for everybody listening to us to fight back against the media portrayal of conservatives. We believe in community just as much as everybody else. We just don't think it takes the whole village to raise our children.
Well, and we don't want the federal government telling us how to run the community down to the nth degree. But, I mean, there's pictures out on social media from bloggers, right, people that are not considered the real media, that is clearly showing a diverse and mourning community holding hands and holding each other. What is the mainstream media putting up there? DeRay freaking McKesson and Al Sharpton.
Because
I am so tired of seeing DeRay McKesson's face, I can't even stand it. He is evil. He is evil, JD. He is evil personified.
He is, but look who he's hooking up with. You got the chocolate cheeses and the race baiters. Sharpton's
Oh,
going down.
no. He ain't hooking up with Sharpton. He's hooking up with Jack at Twitter and George Soros-funded organizations. They don't go anywhere near Sharpton.
Oh, I saw. The
He's
black,
the anti-Sharpton.
The black. Anybody who hasn't seen it, go check out the Black Power Twitter bird that Twitter as corporate put out there for their little message. You know.
They are painting Black Lives Matter with the hashtag on the wall in their corporate office.
They are, but you want to know what? You know where they're going wrong? Progressives are all about lockstep and groupthink. What they don't realize is that instead of making everybody live under their Orwellian umbrella, as soon as JD saw that, you know what the first thing that popped into my head was when I saw the Black Power Twitter bird?
I'm deactivating my Twitter account?
No, the scene from Forrest Gump. I'm sorry I started a fight and broke up your Black Panther party. All right, Jesus, we got a little serious there in the first half. Everybody take a breath, remember?
Giggity, 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 let's have sex.
See you on the other side, JD and Stacey, K98 Talk.
The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rails. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan. This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
The feeling most people get when they hear Barack Obama's speech, I felt this thrill going up my leg. I don't have that too often.
Steady.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. Ricky Robinson, host of America Off the Rails, will tackle the important issues facing America today as he tries to keep America from coming off the track. Get ready to hear the truth every Monday through Friday starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, here on K98Talk.com and the Spark Radio Network.
Welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my name like a long lost friend.
K98Talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98Talk.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to JD and Stacey here on K98 Talk for Bloody Marys and Broadsheets, your easy Sunday morning cure for that mainstream media hangover. Again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers in the audience. Good luck to all those people that just want to procreate and try to become fathers tonight. I wish you well, and maybe we'll be wishing you happy Father's Day next week. As always, get over to K98Talk.com. I think Stacey might be on mute. Get in the chat room. Say hello to her. Remember, you can find us here at 11 a.m. Sundays, Bloody Marys and Broadsheets, Eastern Standard Time. Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. for the Game On. Thursday nights, again, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Game On here on K98 Talk. And as always, get over to Spreaker.com, hashtag K98 Talk. Find out the catalog of everything. Remember, Stacey, how do they find us?
JD and Stacey.
No, JD and Stacey.
JD and Stacey. I'm a fan.
Woo! Okay, so the media's ginning up race riots for 1968. I'm glad we got that segment out of the way. Now, we are going to be talking about presidential leadership or lack thereof. Being that this is a segment on how important leadership is, talking about presidential elections in 2016, should we? You think we should tell the audience that they have to be very careful, and that there is a new endorsement out there that they may not have heard about?
Oh no.
I think we should. What do you think?
Go ahead. Not all minute and 40, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. It appears that Lindsey Graham has received an endorsement for president in 2016. That's right. Family Guy fans, Herbert the Pervert has endorsed Lindsey Graham. Breaking audio.
I know what boys like. I know what guys want. I know what boys like. Boys like. Boys like.
I'm Lindsey Graham, and I'm running for president of the United States.
I know what boys like. I know what guys want. I know what boys like. Boys like. Boys like.
No one here, including me, ever expected to hear me say.
All right, for those of you who enjoyed that, you can find the entire cut of that song at soundcloud.com/JD-Stacey.
I cannot believe you have not tweeted that directly at Gay Patriot.
I did last night.
Oh, did you?
I tweeted that to everybody for a while yesterday afternoon, and then the
I get this thing in my email. I'm like, you did not.
Did you listen to it all the way through when I redid it with the Stuart Smalley cut at the
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus. Everybody feel free to go over to SoundCloud and check that out. JD-Stacey. Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Well, no, I think that sets up perfectly this segment, doesn't it?
Can I just say, to prep for this segment, I went out and I watched a 33-minute speech by Jimmy Carter.
I had to cut it for this segment.
I was 8 when Jimmy Carter left office. I remember certain things about his administration, but watching that speech, all I could ask myself is, how did this man ever get elected? He sounded like he was on Dramamine.
Oh, oh, you want to know? Okay, I'm glad you set this. What we want to do here, audience, is we're basically speaking about, Stacey, will you set up what Boo Boo Face, was it Thursday at the fundraiser?
It was Thursday. He was at a fundraiser out at Tyler Perry's house in California, and he went on an extended speech to manage, raising funds and kind of talk about his administration. And basically what he said in a nutshell is, the hope and change I promised in my election was not a function of me as a leader. It was a function of all of us coming together. And basically he said, we're more divided, we're more this, we're more that, but I needed all of you to help me. And on things like gun control, I need a coalition of you to stand up and make those things happen. I, as the leader of the free world, cannot.
And Stacey and I, when we were speaking about the show and what to talk about and how to go together, when I heard that, it rang so true back to what people generally understand Jimmy Carter's, what you'll hear is called the malaise speech. It was Jimmy Carter's speech to the nation on July 15th, 1979. Thank you, good Lord, he was gone about a year plus later. In that speech, Carter does the same thing. He basically blames the countries for its own ills. And you need to think about both the context that when both of these occurring, all right? 1979, we have an energy crisis. We have a fuel shortage. We have license plates and even numbers and odd days to get gasoline in this country. The economy was awful. Stagflation was now a new term under the Carter administrations. He tanked in a rescue operation the helicopters over in Desert One. He basically made Neville Chamberlain look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And as the Middle East burned, and as the economy suffered, and as inflation was rampant, what did he tell the country time and time and time and time again was our most pressing national issue and national security issue? Climate change, global warming, whatever these idiots were calling it in the 70s. Remember all the big solar panel things on the roof? All right? This is why leadership matters, because you have our moron, boo-boo, running around 6 years into his administration with, just like Carter, the Middle East on fire, an economy he's done nothing about, talking about nonsensical issues as it doesn't matter. Remember where this country was in 1980 when Ronald Reagan came in. We make this point all the time about leadership mattering. Back to the speech. You always hear it referred to as the malaise speech, but the word malaise was never used in the speech. It's actually known as the crisis of confidence speech. Here are two cuts of Jimmy Carter, the President of the United States. He is speaking to the country. And this is going to be to juxtapose strong leadership, no leadership, and weak leadership. Listen to a President of the United States speaking to the American people on July 15th, 1979.
Good evening. This is a special night for me. Exactly 3 years ago, on July 15th, 1976, I accepted the nomination of my party to run for President of the United States. I promised you a president who is not isolated from the people, who feels your pain and who shares your dreams. First of all, I got a lot of personal advice. Let me quote a few of the typical comments that I wrote down. This is from a Southern governor. Mr. President, you're not leading this nation. You're just managing the government. You don't see the people enough anymore. Some of your cabinet members don't seem loyal. There is not enough discipline among your disciples. Don't talk to us about politics or the mechanics of government, but about an understanding of our common good. Mr. President, we're in trouble. Talk to us about blood and sweat and tears. If you lead, Mr. President, we will follow.
In this same speech, where there is an energy crisis, a shortage of gasoline, and a horrible economy, he also basically tells the American people, when it's cold, don't use oil, put on a sweater, because America has seen its greatest days, and they are behind us, and we have to deal with it. A year later, Ronald Reagan got elected and ushered in the greatest expansion of the economy and peacetime prosperity in this nation's history. Coinky-dink? No.
No, it's not a coinky-dink, but what really struck me during listening to that speech is the absolute parallels. Congress wouldn't work for Carter either. Mm-hmm. He couldn't get anything done. So at the end of the speech, what does he do, JD? He says, I am going to put these energy policies into place through executive order.
Sound familiar?
Sound familiar? He got so frustrated with not being able to push his agenda, not the agenda of the American people, his agenda, okay? And I believe watching Carter post-presidency, he's a legacy-driven man as well. And I would tell you that post-presidency, his legacy is much better than it was as the leader of the free world. But, you know, he was so intent on driving this legacy around energy independence. And oh, by the way, I found it kind of hysterical. He wanted to up the use of coal and a bunch of other things that Obama would just probably faint dead away at. But
the environmental movement hadn't gotten around to the coal industry yet.
When you look at the parallels between the pattern of speech, the actual problems within government itself, the trust of government, which during the Carter administration was nil, which of course he blamed on Watergate and a lot of other things. But I mean, when you look at the problems that president had, thank God we were smart enough to only give him 4 years. How did we give this hooplehead 8?
When it think about who was running. If Ronald Reagan ran against a boo-boo, all right, we'd have Reagan in office right now. But when you go back, when you talk about the meanness of it, think about the beginning of this speech, where he talks about all the ills in the nation and all the problems that the country's having. He starts the speech by saying, as the economy's in the toilet and the Middle East is ablaze on July 15th, 1979, Jimmy Carter starts his speech with, "This is a very special night for me." You know, a special night for me because 3 years to the day earlier, he accepted his party's nomination for President of the United States. And this goes back to leadership or lack thereof. It's important how somebody sees themselves, the possibilities and the potential of a country. All right. We just heard Jimmy Carter, and you've heard enough of Obama over the last 6 years, so nobody needs to hear him. You know how Obama speaks about and to the American people. You heard Jimmy
smarter than you.
Thank you. You heard Jimmy Carter say, "Suck it up and put on a sweater." The speech you're about to hear here is a cut from what's referred to as Ronald Reagan's Evil Empire speech. And this speech is not given to a mass audience. It was actually in front of, I don't know if it's an evangelical group, but it was some kind of church group. This is a small group. He fought tooth and nail with his State Department, his speechwriters, his advisors, and everybody around him said, "You cannot call the Soviet Union an evil empire because if you do, you're going to start World War III, you crazy old bastard." And Reagan looked at them and said, "Okay, no problem, give me a jelly bean." And went out and gave this speech on his own terms. And what I want every candidate listening who's running in 2016, you can take points from Ronald Reagan. He never spoke to the media. He never spoke to the press. And he never spoke to the camera. He spoke through the camera, through the lens, over the press, and to the American people. For those of you who did not have the privilege to be alive when this country had a great leader, please turn up your radio.
A number of years ago, I heard a young father, a very prominent young man in the entertainment world, addressing a tremendous gathering in California. It was during the time of the Cold War, and communism and our own way of life were very much on people's minds, and he was speaking to that subject. And suddenly, though, I heard him saying, "I love my little girls more than anything," and I said to myself, "Oh no, don't say that." But I had underestimated him. He went on, "I would rather see my little girls die now, still believing in God, than have them grow up under communism and one day die no longer believing in God." Well, because these quiet men do not raise their voices, because they sometimes speak in soothing tones of brotherhood and peace, because like other dictators before them, they're always making their final territorial demand, some would have us accept them at their word and accommodate ourselves to their aggressive impulses. But if history teaches anything, it teaches that simple-minded appeasement or wishful thinking about our adversaries is folly. It means the betrayal of our past, the squandering of our freedom. So I urge you to speak out against those who would place the United States in a position of military and moral inferiority. You know, I've always believed that old Screwtape reserved his best efforts for those of you in the church. So in your discussions of the nuclear freeze proposals, I urge you to beware the temptation of pride, the temptation of blindly declaring yourselves above it all and label both sides equally at fault. to ignore the facts of history and the aggressive impulses of an evil empire, to simply call the arms race a giant misunderstanding, and thereby remove yourself from the struggle between right and wrong and good and evil.
Which one here is not like the other? Which one here does not belong?
The Sesame Street of presidential history.
You
But I mean, even if you look now, we're talking about putting warheads back over in Europe because we can't get Putin to do anything. Like you said, the Middle East is on fire. We have former military men sitting in Iran in prison, scheduled to be executed, and they are not part of the deal we are making with Iran regarding weapons. Do you remember the hostages in Iran under Carter? Do you? When did they get released? About an hour before Reagan was sworn in, because they knew damn well he would do something about it.
Mm-hmm. And this, listen, this is like we were saying in the beginning of the segment. Leadership really matters, and who you're considering and who you want to usher in to lead this country after this disaster, this mistake is gone and wiped out, really, really, really does matter. It's important. It is important. And leadership matters. Not, hey, he's my guy and I like him because, hey, if you had a guy in the election and you have his jersey on and he comes out and he's not getting it done, let me tell you something, folks. Consider somebody else. Now, before we go to break, I feel awful that we had Obama's text of the speech in there. We had Carter and we had Reagan. We got to throw in at least a cut from a Clinton speech. Let me see. What was the best Clinton cut speech we had? Oh, this was about how they usually went.
Giggity, 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 let's have sex.
We'll be back on the other side talking Marco Rubio on the phone book. The Pope done lost his mind. JD and Stacey, K98 Talk.
Hey everybody, this is Jason, host of According to Me. I'd like to invite you to check out my show. It's a 2-hour show that lasts 60 minutes in... listen, I hate to interrupt, but one thing I can do is read off a script. Just say, let me be clear a lot. It works. President Obama, I can handle this. It's a radio promo. I'm not green. I've done this before. Did someone say green? Now, Al Gore is here. Listen, I'm just trying to record a radio promo. Do you mind? Now, do you say good things about me on the show? No, not at all. But if it makes you feel any better, I rip on Republicans just as much. The AM radio frequencies give off very high levels of radiation. Look, my show is on the internet, which you invented. Can I just do my promo? I got a pen. I can veto that, you know. I know you got a pen. It's not a law. It's a radio promo. Listen, just listen to my show. Barack Obama and Al Gore hate it, so you're going to love it. Here's an executive order. Don't listen to his show. He doesn't like me. He's racist. And he doesn't recycle either. That's it. I'm done. It's According to Me, Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on K98 Talk.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hung over from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets. If it's Sunday, it's Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
We're your cure from your weekly news hangover.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, We give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
Welcome back, everybody, here to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets on K98 Talk with JD and Stacey, curing your mainstream media hangover. As always, you can find us live here at 11 a.m. Sunday morning for Bloody Marys and Broadsheets. You can find us every Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time here on K98 Talk, or Game On. Again, live Thursday nights for Game On, 9 p.m. Eastern Time here on K98 Talk. Get in that chat room, K98Talk.com right now. See what's going on with Stacey, all the good people in there. As always, go over to Spreaker.com, hashtag K98 Talk, and you can find the catalog of all of our shows coming into this nice Sunday morning. All right. You know what? There was something I had a point to make. The break. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. I wanted to also thank, and welcome Radio Red Nation Rising, which you are very privileged to have as our lead-in every Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, for those of you that like sexy female radio voices, baby, yeah, you get over, you listen to that Lou on that Red Nation Rising Radio. She like the female Barry White. Yeah, can't get enough of your little baby.
And she's in the chat room.
Lou, good morning, baby. Listen, you know what she's got to do? She's got to put an audio clip of her voice into the chat room. Everybody would go nuts.
Or they could just tune in on Thursday nights and stay tuned for us.
Oh, look, you see what you did there?
Oh,
you
even
see?
better.
You see, you did a thing and a thing. Lou, tell Jim to send the check to care of JD and Stacey.
But can I just go off the reservation here for a little bit?
Oh, now you're going to get us in trouble. Liz Warren and all the Indians are going to be calling. Yeah, reservation. Go ahead.
Just for all of you who, when we were talking about Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama and how government kind of fell apart underneath them, your own GOP reps that we ushered in 2014 have been playing quite a game this week. Rep Cynthia Loomis, Steve Pierce, and Trent Frank were all kicked off the team on the whip majority team once they didn't vote correctly on TPA, and that was done by GOP whip Steve Scalise. And yesterday, Rep Mark Meadows was removed as the House Oversight and Government Reform Subcommittee chair by Rep Jason Chaffetz because he didn't vote correctly. Guys, they are purging conservatives from leadership positions in the House. Please keep your eyes out. If your rep voted with 62% of the American people, please call and thank them. That is what we want these guys to do. We want them to vote their conscience and their constituents, not the way John Boehner wants them to.
And for those of you who don't think that this is serious, this is literally where the GOP leadership is taking us. So seriously, folks, I mean, for those of you who really dislike, and as an American you should, Politburo third world dictator junta-like politics, go back and listen. In that evil empire speech that Ronald Reagan made, there's a cut that I don't have in there. And I want you to think about Mitch McConnell and John Boehner and their leadership, their whips, and the GOP, and Rance Priebus, and the rest of the establishment right now that is basically trying to cut conservatives off at the knees because, to their mind, they're just a nuisance in the election. Reagan talks about dictators and people who have seized power. And what he says is, you may not recognize them because what you're looking for is and I'm paraphrasing here, you're looking for the guy with the sword and the scepter and the gun sitting there, hotcha with the beard coming out of the Revolutionary Woods. And he makes the point that no, these people that take and destroy liberty, these people that squelch dissent, these people who jail opponents, this is done by clean-cheeked, shaven men with soft hands.
There are two elections with national consequences.
Who use pencil and paper and computers versus military power. And if you think about what happened in Germany in the 30s and 40s, if you look at the entire top leadership of that regime that thrust this world into a world war, they're bureaucrats, one and all. So don't think they're not dangerous. They are.
Well, I mean, the only way we have as conservatives, okay, to stop that kind of nonsense is to deliver funding sources that aren't tied to the establishment, like Louis Gohmert is trying to do. To understand that the election in Ohio 8 is an election with national consequences because Boehner can't be speaker if he's not there.
Absolutely. And look, we'll get there, but even at the local level, it's more important, I think, at the national level. Look, Jason Chaffetz is a prime example. Amash had to vote the wrong way a few weeks ago. Every one of these guys, folks, every one of these guys, for you who have a guy and says, well, he's the one who hasn't let anybody down yet, that's garbage. They all will. The only person who's put his name behind anything is Gohmert. He's got the pack out there, gohconservative.com. Get over there and check him out. But 2016 is what matters. And you know who may be sleeping before we go into the rest of what we have here? I know you don't like this. I know you don't like this part of it, but I'm telling you. Fear.
Well, I done made the devil a deal. He made me pretty. He made me smart. I'm gonna bring me a million hearts. Sugar daddy, I'm coming for you.
Because everything else we have out there is not working. Now, let's shift gears for a minute before we get into the Pope's lunacy. Did you get a chance to see the video of Marco and the heckler?
I did not. I had a little trouble finding it.
Okay, so anybody who
read about it.
who hasn't seen this, Stacey and I, and one of the reasons we played that cut about Hell on Heels is Carly Fiorina is one of the few people in this field who understands how to politic this. So Rubio, who Stacey will tell you has a nice smile, but also needs to stand on a phone. Right, also needs to stand on a phone book. Was standing on his phone book giving a speech, and Stacey and I have both seen Rubio speak in person multiple times. The guy is a phenomenal speaker, folks. He's a phenomenal speaker. But as I understand it, he was giving the speech. It was one of his stump speeches. It wasn't going that great. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of DACA, whatever these immigration idiot protesters were, started screaming, Rubio played it perfectly. He stood there at the podium very quietly, very calmly, and just watched. And as security took them out and people were trying to drown them out, Rubio reset himself and said, do you realize that in most nations on the face of this earth, if you had come in here and said something like that, you'd be taken out, you'd be in prison, you'd be executed, your family's homes would be burned to the ground and razed? I drop on my knees every morning and thank God I live in a place where people can have that kind of dissent. And then he reset and went back into his speech. This is what we need in 2016. Somebody who gets it.
Well, I mean, I think we need better retail politicians, and I think you're seeing glimmers of it with Rand Paul when he gets asked a gotcha question and said, I'll talk to you about that when you let me know what Hillary Clinton thinks.
Right, but
setting people back on their ears, redirect, saying that's not what's important. Here's what I think is important. You don't have to answer the question and you can still get a statement in. And it's like our guys have not had sufficient media training that they don't have to answer the direct question. I'm not sure why you're asking me that. I don't see that as fundamentally important going into 2016. I see this as fundamentally important, and here's what I think about it.
They've had tons of media training. They've had all the training and consulting in the world that you want. Do you know what the problem is? It's bad advice. It's wrong consulting. Political consultants are worse than generals. If you think historically, when you go throughout time, I don't care what the empire nation.
John LaRosa, I hope you're not listening.
Whatever you want to refer to it as. All right. Generals are always fighting the last war, and most political consultants are no damn different. And some of them are so lazy, they're still fighting the war with the same playbook they did in the 80 campaign, in 84, and 88, and 2000, and 2004. And that's what you're seeing here. Until you are able to break through this consultancy class, and look, LaRose is a different kind of consultant, but I'm going to tell you something. Look, people go after Wall Street people and lawyers all the time. I don't get offended by it. It's the absolute damn truth. The consultants on our side don't get it. They want to get paid. They want to go to the lobbying firm after that. They want to roll. They want legislation. They want their cut. They want their name up. None of it on the bottom of that list is electing somebody who matters. So it's not that they don't have media training. It's that they're over-consulted. Our guys would be better off if they had no media training and said, you want to know something? Why don't you answer the question like a human being?
Well, because Hillary can't do that.
Because she's not human.
I know.
Lie, you have to lie, you have to bobble. You ever see a head? You ever see the bobble? I mean, she looks like a bobblehead doll glued to the dashboard of an F-150 off-roading in rock terrain. Doesn't say anything. The head's just all over the place, all over the place, all over the place, all over the place. No wonder her husband bangs everybody but her.
I just say she has no moderation to her voice whatsoever and displays absolutely zero emotion. Like the idea, they send all these pictures from New Hampshire about her reading books to school children. I can't imagine as a child how terrifying that would be.
Well, is Beacon still in the chat room?
Yeah, I think.
Let's try to get some live audience participation. What would scare his child more? That creepy, hey, the Palmer gonna lead us, help us song that was played on the promo, or Hillary talking to her child, to a child? I would love
there's
this.
There's a delay there, so I'll tell you when the answer comes up.
Fantastic. You see that, folks? we professional like a real radio station. We got delays. We got the Ari Blah Funky Bucket. Yeah, baby, we got everything. But look, if our people got to remember not to scare folks as well, too. You know, Jeb Bush has acted to be honest, and what he's saying is just, listen, man, go away. Go away, go away, go away, go away, go away. I've been waiting so long for 2016. Now that I see you all, go away. Oh, last thing in the stack of stuff before we take off. Did you see, I didn't see who the poll was. It might have been CNN. Did you see in the last presidential poll the 3 people making the biggest climb?
No, I didn't, but it's a CNN poll.
No. Well, it depends on how they sample, but I mean, generally, if it's CNN ORC, it's a good poll because they do it in conjunction with a political firm. It's Carly Fiorina, Ben Carson, and Mike Huckabee.
No, not Huckabee.
Listen, let me tell you something. Regardless of whether or not you like him, wait a minute. Think about what we just spoke about, and think about the 3 people who had the biggest rise in the poll: Carly Fiorina, Ben Carson, and Mike Huckabee. Out of the 436,932.5 people who are running for president on our side, okay? And Trump is the half. Did you hear me, Donald? You're a half because you're a joke. Who are the 3 people that aren't speaking like politicians and don't seem like they're over-consulted? Fiorina, Carson, and Huckabee fall into that category.
Yeah, I know, but Carson says ridiculous things.
It doesn't matter. Look. I hear what you're saying. I've made this point before. Don't think that people aren't so sick of what's going on in this country that they're open to the ridiculous, just as long as it's different. Oh, my God, I cannot believe it.
The least consulted is Donald.
Okay, terrific.
Let's see if Bill Clinton, you have anything to say about this?
Giggity, let's have sex.
What did Bigger say?
Beaker said it would be more terrifying for his children to have Hillary read a book, though it was a very difficult decision.
Good God. God, was that a crazy, crazy Sunday morning. Again, happy Father's Day to everybody. Lionel's already on the piano. Stacey, say goodbye to the audience and tell them what's going on in the world till we see them Tuesday night.
Oh, well, we're going to be watching our representatives in the GOP very carefully to make sure they don't do anything else that's completely stupid that we can beat them up over. And other than that, I will be getting ready to go to Denver with my good friends Diane and Jody.
JD will be taking Dad out for Father's Day. Going to be showering right now. We're going to see everybody next Sunday morning at 11 a.m.
If it's Sunday, it's Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
We're your cure from your weekly news hangover.
Thank you for taking it easy with us. You can find our show account on Twitter at JD and Stacey, or send us your interesting news story of the week to Game On War, that's WAAR, @gmail.com.
And you can find me on Twitter at ScottsFire and on Facebook at Stacey Lennox.
And you can find me on the Twitters at GameOnJD